in the culture in which I was sent. And all of you, everyone here is sent into a different group, a different society, a different grouping, if you will. Some of you are called into the rodeo. Some are called into the oil field. Some of you are called to the marketplace. Some are called in different aspects, personal business. Maybe called into government, education. Maybe called into religion. You may be called into media. You may be called into the arts, entertainment. We talked about this 2 weeks ago, about the 7 mounts or the 7 areas of influence in our society. See, we as Christians have come to this understanding. No, we're called into the church. Got news for you. There's another thing that's not biblical. You're not called to go to church, and you're not called into the church. It's not your safe haven and your country club. The building, the place that you come to on Sunday morning is for you to be edified and equipped. It's not for unbelievers, it's for believers. So somehow you think that we're going to pray enough, bombard the realm of darkness enough that we're going to create some kind of spiritual vortex that's going to suck every non-believer into the church. It has yet to do that, hasn't it? So the church isn't about being called in. The church is about going out and being the influence in the world. The predominant ruling force of light in every area of darkness. But we can't do that if we alienate ourselves and close ourselves off. And there are many doors of opportunity that have actually opened to you this year that you have not taken advantage of. 2014 is where we declare that it ceases, because we're going to seek after every opportunity, every open door of opportunity that's set before us, that we would see our dreams and aspirations come to pass. So what we see in this letter, it means a door. And I want you to see the little high corner, the little point at the top. That also is representative of something. The little corner point, it represents the concept of what is called in Hebrew batul, or self-nullification, or selflessness. Wow, it's just amazing that here we have selflessness and a door. Selfishness keeps the door closed. Selflessness opens the door. Hello? Most of us in our society, if not 90-something% of us in our culture, church culture, is very selfish. We are about ourselves first, others second. So therefore, we isolate ourselves, or we actually close the door of opportunity for us to be an influence anywhere, because we're more about me, and my, and me, and mine. Yes? So we become alienated from the world. This is what the church, and for the most part, has done. We're called into a society of church people, and we continue to do church rather than become the bride of Christ. So this corner point representing the concept of self-nullification, the practice of selflessness and this practice of self-nullification, it leads to humility. It is actually the doorway to God's house, consequently, which is attained by clinging to God. So, therefore, the full meaning of the delete would be this. The full meaning is the door through which the humble enter into the realization of God's dwelling place, the habitation of God. And where is it, I want you to ask yourself, where is it, or could it possibly be, that God would inhabit your life to the fullest extent? Where there's such a divine flow in your life that you're fully connected to God, that you know where you're supposed to be. You know where the fulfillment and purpose of your life is flowing so divinely that you're no longer struggling or having conflict or relationship problems or inner healing problems, or you're facing fears or insecurities, or you just alienate yourself, or you hide yourself away, or you just go to church. Well, let me share this with you. The place that God dwells, the place that God inhabits, it will be the place where you have reached your ultimate potential. And the place of your ultimate potential is the place where His ultimate potential is released through you. Hello? Where His ultimate potential is released through you. This is where you're positioned for divine flow. This is where you become the influence or the influencer, not just in people groupings in people's lives, but in systems. Remember the 7 systems that we talked about: education, government, arts, media, religion, family, business. Those are the areas that we have been called to influence. And this is a transitional time for us to discover the open doors of opportunity where we can influence society, where we can make a difference, where we can refine, I guess you would say, refine being a church people or Christians. You know, it was fine at one time, and somehow we've defined it, and it's time to refine it. It's time for us to make walking as believers fine again. You know, Jesus, when He built the church, He built it, and He made the church the way that He wanted it, and He wants it just like He made it. He doesn't want it to be defined. He doesn't want it to be destructured or destroyed. He doesn't want it to be confused. He doesn't want it to be alienated. He wants His people to be of ultimate influence everywhere they go. And this is where we are called in 2014 to examine every aspect of our lives. And so I want you to write this down if you're taking notes. If you're not, you need to have a mental picture or a remembrance and recall that we are being called in 2014 to examine personally every aspect of our lives. I'm not called to examine yours. You're called to examine your own life. You're called to examine every aspect and be willing to make hard calls and hard choices where you see yourself misaligned. We've already released a lot of revelation concerning how we've been misaligned by not being agents of change. We've been agents of apathy. We've been agents of complacency. We've been agents of compromise. We've been agents of fear, agents of hurt, agents of pain, agents of dysfunction, agents of Christian culture, agents of denominationalism, agents of the world, agents of you name it. But it's time for us to realize we've been called as believers to be agents of love and power and glory. Agents of favor, agents of the kingdom, called into the world in every aspect to make the difference. We walk in such confidence and such realization of our identity that the world takes notice to who we are. And that the world takes notice that we have been spending time with Jesus. Regardless if we're trained or been to cemetery or seminary, or we've been to be professional leaders or ministers, it doesn't matter. What we are called first and foremost is to carry the presence of God everywhere we go. And to release the divine manifestation of His presence, because His presence is in us and with us. Yeah? And this is where I want to draw your attention to Genesis 12. I want to share a real quick story about Abram. Abram was a man that was called, and he was a place of transition in his life. He was looking for the ultimate purpose, that he would serve and make a difference. And I'm going to read quickly from Genesis 12, 1-3. The Lord said to Abram, get out of your country, from your family and from your father's house, to a land that I will show you. I will make you a great nation. I will bless you. I will make your name great, and you shall be a blessing. I will bless those who bless you. I will curse him who curses you. And in you all the families of the earth shall be blessed. Now let's read this again. Look at the I wills. I will make you a great nation. I will bless you. I will bless those who bless you, and I will curse those who curse you. I will make your name great. Look at all the I wills. All the I wills. How many of you want to receive all of those I wills? Because did you know that you are the seed of Abraham through Jesus Christ, and all those I wills are your inheritance? And let me ask you, are you walking right now to the full potential of every one of those I wills? Most of us should probably say, no, I'm not. Why? Because there are conditions. It's like this. It's like he's saying, if and then. If these conditions are met, then the I wills will pursue after you, and you'll have to do nothing to seek after them. What was the condition? The condition was to leave the familiar place that he was in. How many of you are in a familiar place right now? That would be me. I'm in a familiar place. Actually, many of you, more of you, should be raising your hands than that. That's what I do know. If you live in West Texas as a believer, chances are you're in a very, very, very familiar place in your life. Familiar is comfortable, isn't it? Familiar is safe. Familiar is not scary. Familiar requires no faith in my life to believe that there's anything less, anything greater, anything more than where I am right now. The requirement was for him to leave that which was so familiar to him, because there was a destiny awaiting him. There was something greater that God had for him, but he had to leave the familiar. Yes, Lord, that's true. I just heard the Lord say church has become familiar to most people in our region. Church life has become so familiar to our culture. You want to know how familiar church life? Can I share with you how familiar our church life is? It becomes so familiar that most of us care less whether we go or not. We've got other important things to do than go to church on Sunday. We've got other important things to even come regularly, to be equipped and trained. Why? Because I care nothing of being equipped to be a world changer. I don't really care whether or not I'm called to my place of destiny or influence or not. I am familiar and comfortable with my life. I am safe. Your safe place is the most dangerous place for you as a believer. You have not been called into a place of safety just so you can be comfortable. But you've been called into a place through an open door to make a difference, because God has a destiny for you, and your destiny is awaiting you. Would you like to come to heaven and stand before God one day and he said, I had all of this available for you, but you didn't walk through this open door? All you had to do was to leave that which was so familiar and come into a place of unfamiliarity. Yeah?